In this video, our team tests the SpotOn GPS Dog Fence to see if it's the right pick for your pup.
Ooh, tickles. Not that bad. Still a little nervous about it though.
SpotOn invented the GPS dog fence, and its latest release, the Omni Dog Collar, promises increased battery life, improved tracking capabilities, and unlimited fencing options. The universal SIM card connects to any cellular tower in your area for more accurate GPS functionality, and the off-grid mode works in remote areas with no internet connection, meaning more freedom for your dog and more peace of mind for you. But don't take our word for it. We're going to put SpotOn to the test so you don't have to. So how does the SpotOn collar work? Well, once you've created your fence, the SpotOn collar uses 2 different tones to warn your dog that they're approaching the fence boundary. You're responsible for training your dog to recognize the sound cues for behavior modification, though there is an optional static correction, aka shock, to use when the dog breaches the boundary. We tested the latest Omni Dog Collar to see how easy it is to use with your dog and how accurate the GPS boundary truly is. First off, let's take a look at the product itself. When you open the box, you'll see the collar along with a quick start guide and accessories. There's a wall charger, charging cable, charging base, optional contact points for static correction, more on that later, and a contact point tester. To set up the collar, you're first going to need to give it a charge. The collar will turn on when fully seated into the charging base. You can manually power the collar on or off via the power button. Press and hold the power button for 5 to 10 seconds until the LED light on the collar stops flashing. The red light means the collar is on, but you don't have the fence set up yet. The SpotOn collar itself feels very sturdy and well made. It comes in 3 sizes to fit various dogs. Before purchasing the collar, you'll need to measure your dog's neck. Our dog tester Rio has a 22-inch neck, so he fits into the large size. Adjust the strap so it fits comfortably, but still lets you fit 2 fingers between the collar and your pet's neck. When properly fitted, the GPS antenna should sit on the back of the dog's neck so that the GPS icon is facing the sky. Next, it's time to set up your fence. Alright, so with the SpotOn collar, there are 3 different ways that you can create a fence. Number 1, you can walk the perimeter, which is what I'm doing now. You can also map out the perimeter using the SpotOn app, or you can drop a circle, so creating, again, in the app, just a circular area where you want a fence to be for your dog. SpotOn does recommend that you walk the perimeter for the most accurate fencing. However, we know that that's not feasible for everyone. Say you have a big plot of farmland, you're not going to want to walk the whole area. For areas like a small yard or a park like where I'm at, this is the best option. Once the fence is created, you can make a home zone inside the fence to ensure your dog can enter your home without the GPS signal being blocked and giving false alarms or corrections. Alright, so once you create the fence, the app instructs you to test the boundary. And so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm walking slowly towards that boundary line, and the first thing I'm supposed to hear is a beep. There it is. If I were to keep going, there's going to be a warning sound. There it is. And again, if I keep going, that's when the vibration or static correction occurs. At this time, I would also be receiving a notification on my phone that says Rio is outside of the fenced area. Say I am to walk backwards, I'll again hear that tone signaling that I'm in the fenced area, and I'm getting a notification on my phone that says Rio has returned to the fenced area. So we'll do that again. We'll test a few different areas. Training your dog to use this collar is relatively easy, though. Like any training, it may require some repetition. The first step is to teach your dog to learn the tone. You can see that I keep Rio leashed and encourage him to walk past the fenced area. When the first tone alerts, I call him back and reward him with a treat. SpotOn recommends practicing this for 10 to 15 minutes for a few days. From there, you can move on to testing the static correction or vibration component. The purchase of this collar also unlocks a free 30-minute consultation with a certified dog trainer for help with addressing specific questions or training concerns. There's a lot to love about the SpotOn collar. It's very durable, it has an IP67 waterproof rating, it takes under 2 hours to charge, and that gives you around 25 hours of battery life. The collar itself is straightforward to set up. You can create multiple overlapping fences and save unlimited fences within the app. If your dog crosses a boundary, you get real-time alerts of your dog's whereabouts. SpotOn pulls GPS data from over 100 satellites across 4 dedicated global satellite systems for superior accuracy, and activating forest mode promotes better GPS reading under heavy tree cover. Which brings me to the main question. Is SpotOn as accurate as it claims to be? We put it to the test. Our first test was to check for the accuracy of the boundary line. With any GPS fence product, there's going to be some drifting, which means the boundary line may change slightly over time. Drift depends on several factors, including the quality of GPS receiver and antenna, the number of satellites detected, and how much of the sky is visible. GPS drift is typically more noticeable on smaller properties, the major concern here being that the fence line would drift into unsafe areas. SpotOn recommends using its product on a property that's at least half an acre and incorporates a 15-foot buffer zone to account for drifting. In our testing, we found that there's typically a 5-foot drift when using the SpotOn collar, which is quite good. Keep this in mind when setting up your fence to avoid your boundary drifting into areas like sidewalks, roads, or any other area you want your dog to avoid. We also tested the accuracy of the 10-foot boundary section. As a reminder, when approaching the fence, your dog will hear 2 different warning tones as they approach the fence boundary. The first warning tone sounds when the collar is 10 feet from the boundary, and the second sounds at 5 feet before the boundary. Despite the drifting, the alert and warning tone were consistently at 5 and 10 feet, though there was one location along the fence line where the warning tone and fence boundary line hit at the same spot.
Beep. Alarm and vibration.
In this case, the dog would have only had a 5-foot area to hear the first alert and turn around before reaching the fence boundary. I had also read some feedback online about the SpotOn collar being too quiet to hear, so I had my human tester, Nick, give it a try.
I can't figure out where the sound's coming from directionally. It just sounds like it's all around me.
Do you think it's loud enough?
I think it's loud enough, yeah.
Finally, we tested to see if 10 feet or even 5 was truly enough time for a dog to recognize the alert and turn around.
Got it?
I heard it, yeah. Now that I've tested the SpotOn collar for a few weeks, I do have some pros and cons I want to share with you. With a price tag of just under $1,000, this is not an inexpensive purchase, so I think there's a few things you need to know before making the leap. I will mention that if you do want to purchase the SpotOn collar, you can use our coupon code K9 to get $75 off your purchase. I'll include that link here as well as in the description below. To recap, this collar is a great alternative to a physical barrier like a fence or an electric fence that requires you to install wires in the ground. The SpotOn collar lets you create unlimited fences and has additional features like keep-out zones, which you can set up while creating your virtual fence. This feature is very helpful with large properties or farms where you may have fields, buildings, waterways, or anywhere else you want your dog to stay out of. SpotOn is the only GPS dog fence that works as a containment solution without a subscription. This is a huge pro. SpotOn does offer tracking plans starting at $9.95 per month, but without that plan, you can still create GPS fences and train your dog to remain within that fenced line. If you do decide to pay for tracking with SpotOn's latest Omni collar, you no longer need to select AT&T or Verizon. The universal SIM card will be connected to whichever tower is closest. I really like that you have 3 options for creating a fence. In particular, I found the place a circle option to be very handy and could be a really good choice if you're trying to create a short-term fence solution, say going camping or to a park, or any other area that requires those short-term fencing solutions. From my experience, the phone alerts are very accurate and reliable. I was notified each time the collar went in and out of that boundary zone. The biggest con of the SpotOn collar is that it requires at least half an acre of land. So if you try to create a fence in a smaller area, your boundary accuracy may suffer. If you have a small yard, SpotOn is likely not the best choice for you. When testing this collar, I found that the drifting was much more apparent in smaller fenced areas, which could cause problems for you and your dog. It's important to note that while this collar has optional static correction, you're encouraged to train your dog to recognize the audio tones and turn around before exiting the fence, which means training. There's nothing physically stopping your dog from leaving the fenced area. The collar does have an optional static correction, but if your dog doesn't understand that correction, they may continue to move outside the fence. And without paying for tracking, that means your dog is free to roam. SpotOn does offer a 30-minute training consultation with one of their experts with purchase of their collar, and they have a wealth of resources online for you to use as well. But back to static correction. I know there are a lot of people who are concerned about using static correction on their dog. When setting up the static correction, SpotOn has you connect the contact points to the collar, and then to confirm the static correction is working, you attach the contact point tester to the collar and walk across the boundary. The tester will glow orange when the static correction is working. While we tested the static correction on ourselves, SpotOn does not recommend this. Of course, I think it's reasonable to want to test the shock on yourself if you're going to have your dog experience this, but keep in mind that the experience will be a lot milder for your dog due to their unique skin and fur. If you're still unsure about the SpotOn Omni Collar, I will link here to an in-depth review of the SpotOn Collar on our website, caninejournal.com. I will also leave you with another video review of the SpotOn Collar, which goes into training in more detail. Remember, you can save $75 on your purchase by using our coupon code Canine at checkout. Do you have any more questions about the SpotOn Collar? Be sure to let us know in the comments. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give us a thumbs up and remember to share it with friends and family that you think would find it helpful. And if you're interested in following us online, I'll share links to all of our social channels below. Thanks, bye!